As a renowned Islamic scholar, transformational speaker, teacher, and mentor, Abdul Fattah Adeyemi has inspired countless lives with his insightful lectures and compassionate guidance. Connect with a community of like-minded individuals seeking knowledge and achieving greatness.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. My name is Abdul Fattah Adeyemi and I welcome all of us to the discussion for today. There was a recent past when everything changed for real for the youths generally. Whether you are Gen X or Gen Y or Gen Z or Generation Alpha, whichever one you belong to, there was this new generation that combined all of us together. So long as you are still alive, this generation that I want to mention now must have affected you in some ways, must have changed your outlook on life, must have changed your progress in life, must have changed everything about your life. Whether you realize it or not is another matter entirely. But let me try to paint the picture to you. Maybe if you realize it and recognize it, you are going to feel a lot better that it is not too late for you to make changes and amends in your life. And let us now look at the generation called the lockdown generation. What did I call it? The lockdown generation. That generation was marked by the COVID-19 pandemic. From the time of COVID-19, things have changed. The COVID-19 pandemic was a defining global event that disproportionately impacted the world's youth, acting as a crucible that tested them in unprecedented ways. It was a particularly strange year, even in the way you pronounce it and the way it sounds, 2020. I don't think there's any other year that we all witnessed that sounded so awkward, so forceful, so strange, so mysterious, so bizarre, so weird, like 2020. So let's look at the breakdown of the significant setbacks caused by the lockdowns that were more like lockups in our lives. The lockdown generation. The pandemic imposed a heavy tax on the very things that define a healthy youth. And what are the things that define a healthy, normal youth? Their connection, because they like to connect with each other. Exploration, they like to explore because they are curious people. And the transition to independence. These three things have been removed from the youth because of this lockdown that they all experienced. The pandemic triggered recession, hit the youth employment the hardest. Internships were cancelled, entry-level jobs evaporated, and career launches were put on indefinite hold, creating a lockdown generation facing a more precarious financial future. Allahu Akbar. But however, it's not all gloom. There were some gains from the lockdown. There was a lot of problem that they went through, although there was also some gains. But let me quickly mention some of these setbacks so that we can appreciate the gains when I'm talking about the gains. Number one setback that the youth experienced and that is also affecting them up to now is the fracturing of social and developmental milestones in their lives. And this had been shown by isolation and loneliness. The lockdowns and social distancing measures severed the informal, the crucial network of friendships that these young people were supposed to have. The collaboration, the peer interaction that is necessary for their growth and maturity in a normal way. For many of these young people, this led to a great sense of loneliness and a stunting of social skills that are typically honed in classrooms. Without being in the classrooms, cafeterias, and social gatherings, they lost all of these social skills and they had a great sense of loneliness. There was also a disrupted transition in their life. The key rites of passage were cancelled, they were postponed or moved online. Graduations, forced internships, study abroad programs, and the forced move away from home, all of these things were truncated or postponed or even cancelled. And this created a sense of loss and a stolen time that cannot be reclaimed. Number two, there was a deepening of the educational chasm, the gap in education. You see, the Zoom classroom that we experienced that time, the shift to remote learning was not just a change of venue. It led to widespread learning loss, a struggle to maintain focus because they were so distracted, they were not used to this, and a decline in engagement. The informal learning that happens through side conversations with teachers and collaborative work with peers all vanished. And then there was this inequity that was also amplified. The digital divide became an educational canyon. It became educational gap. Students without reliable internet, without quiet study spaces, or without parental support were left dangerously behind. And this exacerbated existing social and economic inequalities. Some schools continued because their parents could afford the internet or because they lived in the cities. But what of those who are in the rural areas that didn't have access to digital solution to that lockdown that they experienced that time? Or those without any reliable internet connectivity or without the parental support? They didn't have computers, they didn't have laptops. Maybe the family was sharing only one phone that couldn't, connect to the internet, and that was not convenient enough for 3 or 4 children to have independent studies because there was a lockdown. So there was that deepened gap in educational attainment between this youth. Now you see, this youth, they are humans, and many things had happened to them during this lockdown when it comes to catching up with the educational system or catching up with the educational pursuit that they were supposed to have. And if you remember very well, I remember it was that time that some teachers were just being taught for the first time in their lives how to teach people through the Zoom. They were being re-educated all over on how to teach students online. And it was a lot of problem, headache for teachers, headache for students. Number three problem, setback that was experienced by this lockdown generation is mental health crisis. There was anxiety and uncertainty. There was constant exposure to a global health crisis. That is, people, they say they had COVID-19 or COVID-19 positive. And this was coupled with economic instability and disruption to life plans, fueled by a surge in anxiety. They had a lot of depression. Some of them have not even recovered from that depression up till now. Some of these young people are still using antidepressants up till now. And don't be surprised that there was the upsurge of drug addiction and substance abuse from that COVID-19 upwards. And there were other mental health disorders that are still disturbing these young people up till now. These are my own opinion. I want you, parents and adults, I want you to study what I'm saying very well. And you get to see that these young people have been adversely affected by all of these things. And then there was a loss of normal world. Everything changed. For younger generations, the pandemic fundamentally shattered the perception of a stable, predictable world. It replaced it with the one of inherent risk and uncertainty. Their futures were suddenly bleaked. They didn't know what was going to happen next. They didn't know what will happen after the pandemic. There was a normal world they were enjoying. They didn't have anything normal again. There were two tribes that time. There were the tribes of wearing face mask, another tribe of not wearing face mask. Everybody was just confused. And the young people were not spared of this confusion. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Some of them were sick, they got well. Some of them were ill, they didn't get well. And especially the mental health situation, people didn't take note of that. They gave people injections, they gave people vaccines, They gave people inoculations. There was nothing they didn't give people that time to combat the pandemic. But people did not remember the mental health situations that these young people had run into. Right from that lockdown period up to now, there have been upsurge of some crazy crimes by the young people. They became so idle, and the computers they were using then to kill their time became the weapon for them to defraud people. They became so adept, they became so smart in using these computers, but they were using them for wrong purposes. So many people, the parents, the families, the institutions, the government, they looked the other way. They thought these young people would just become normal all of a sudden. A lot of things are going wrong. A lot of prostitution continued from that time. A lot of other crimes continued from that time. So many things that we can't even explain yet until another 10 or 20 years had happened to these young people. And everybody thinks they should just be normal. These young people are not normal anymore. I am generalizing because I know that some of them who are still under antidepressants up to now, those whose parents cannot afford rehabilitation centers, they are still smoking their weeds. And they are still smoking all sorts of things that they call all sorts of names, colos and what have you. This pandemic really disrupted their orientation about life, so much so that many of them are even afraid to get married. They are afraid to commit to something that is meaningful in life. And they are very, very easily enlisted to crimes and criminal organizations, including child traffickers, including child soldiers, including ritualists, and what have you. Allahu Akbar. You see, these are my own emotions, my own impressions, my own opinions about some of the things that have happened to these lockdown generations. Another problem, setback they had was the economic precarity and stalled futures. The pandemic triggered recession in the lives of these people. Unemployment hit these young people the hardest. There was no job that would take them again. In fact, they had become unemployable. Internships were cancelled, entry-level jobs evaporated, and career launches were put on indefinite hold, creating a lockdown generation that is facing a more precarious financial future. Many of them have gone through things now, and they can't even fend for themselves. They are dependent on their parents. It's not because they are lazy. Just like one government even jokingly said in one country like that the youth are lazy. He forgot what the pandemic had done to them. He forgot that these children, they are not normal anymore. They needed, all of them, they needed rehabilitation. They needed trauma treatment because they went through this trauma in a very big way. They had never experienced this before, and they were too young to be able to wrap this pandemic around their heads. So they all came out traumatized. These children, they needed psychiatric treatment. Let me put it bluntly like that. They needed counseling which nobody was ready to offer them. And that was why, from that lockdown, there had been upsurge of counseling organizations. Binacum, that I'm familiar with, recorded highest number of people to counsel from that lockdown up to now. We are still counseling people, and when you trace the causes of their problems, you trace it to that lockdown period. That was when all the problems started. Quarrels, fight, resentment, hatred between husband and wife. That was when they began to see each other truly for whom they are. That was when they were forced to stay together. The things they could endure, they could not endure it anymore. I'm talking about those who are married amongst them. Talk less of those who are not married, they are not even ready to marry, and they are not even prepared to get married. We have a lot to do on this generation. So when we talk about youth, taking care of your youth before your old age, the youth we are talking about, don't go too far looking at the youth in the Quran. Don't go too far looking at the youth around the messenger. Come home now, come here and see the youth we are talking about, this traumatized youth that we call the lockdown generation. However, let us not think it's all gloom and doom. Like I said earlier on, there were some gains from the lockdown, And this is where I want us to focus now. The forging of resilience and a new perspective had come, because paradoxically, the very pressures that created these setbacks also forged unique strengths and a clarified worldview. Number one, there was the unparalleled digital fluency and adaptability with this lockdown generation. They now have the mastery of the digital realm. This generation didn't just use technology, they were forced to live essential parts of their lives through technology. They became adept at virtual collaboration, online self-directed learning, and digital networking. This fluency is a powerful asset in an increasingly remote and globalized workforce. Then you have online businesses, online marketing. Some of them will be at home and they're making a lot of money because they now know how to use technology very well. They also have the great acceleration of skills. They were thrust into a world that rapidly adopted automation, e-commerce, and digital communication, and this forced them to adapt at a speed that no previous generation ever experienced. Allahu Akbar. Number two, I'm talking about the gains. There was a fortified sense of resilience and self-reliance. They were able to navigate unprecedented challenges because surviving the isolation, the disruption, and the uncertainty of the pandemic taught them that they can endure great difficulties. Allahu Akbar. Yes, this builds a deep-seated endurance that cannot be taught, but that can only be earned through experience. Then number three, they now have a clarified value system. They are able to reevaluate what matters. The first pause led many of them to question the rat race that their parents were going through. There's a stronger emphasis on mental well-being now, stronger emphasis on personal relationships and life purpose that is more important to them than purely material or traditional markers of success. And then, of course, another gain is that there's a catalyst for civic and social awareness. They witnessed a lot of systemic flaws. The pandemic acted as a stark spotlight. It illuminates the cracks in healthcare. It shows that doctors can also lie. You know what I mean now? Don't trust doctors anymore. Because when the pandemic came, they didn't tell us the truth that we are not supposed to die. Should I say that again now? The pandemic made the young people to know that they can't even trust their government anymore. They know that there's social inequality. They are now aware that there's economic differences. We have been able to prove it to them because even the time of the pandemic, we still had VIP. We had VIP healthcare. We took care of those who had better resources and we neglected those who didn't have much money. We lied to the people that they were positive when they were not positive because we wanted to sell our vaccines. The government connived with some world powers to rob their people, to cheat their people, to deceive their people, to cripple their people. Then, if anybody came out to challenge what was going on, they'll say, look, who are you to challenge science? Whereas, they didn't realize that the reason for science in the first place is for us to ask questions. People were asking questions and we told them to keep quiet. That is the science that is talking. But we later realized that people can lie with science. We realized that people can manipulate others with science. We realized that behind the science people are talking about, there's no morality, there's no good value system, and there's no good intention behind the so-called science that people are talking about. These young people already know this now. You can't lie to them anymore. Unfortunately for the world powers and the leaders and the government, AI is here. Technology is here. These young people can find out the truth by themselves, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. So that's one of the advantages I see personally in that lockdown generation. You cannot fool them always. You can't fool them more than once. They are wise and smart now. Although, unfortunately, some of them are still following their parents in this folly that we call civilization. Allahu Akbar. But I believe that this awareness is translating into action for the young people. Having seen how quickly the world can change and how governments and institutions can respond or fail to respond, they are potentially more empowered now, and they are more motivated to build a better, more resilient, and more equitable future for themselves. These young people, they will refuse to discriminate. These young people, they will refuse to look down on one another. They all meet on the social media. They follow each other on the social media. They are influencing each other, both good and bad, and they have the potentials to create sparks where people think fire cannot erupt. So this goes out to the parents and the government out there. Don't take these people for granted. Don't take the youth for granted and stop lying to them. Bring developmental things their way. Let them know their bearings in life and let them know that they're the true leaders of the future without any lie added to it. May Allah make it easy for us. Like we said earlier on, the youthful age is not merely a count of years since birth, but a season of paradoxical existence, because it is the dawn, not the full day, and therein lies its entire power and its perils. It has its advantage, it has its disadvantage. If the youth are well taken care of and well educated, we all get the advantage from there. But if we miseducate them, or we kill their propensity to grow, or we distract them, or we divert their attention into what is negative, we are actually working at our own peril. Philosophically, youth is the raw, uncarved block of marble from which a life is sculpted. It is potential in its pure dynamic form. The world has not yet hardened around it, and the saying of when people say the way things are, these are still written in pencil but not chiseled in stone. These young people are still malleable. They still know what they want to do, but we have to encourage them to do the right thing, because the youthful age is a state of glorious and terrifying freedom at the same time. The young person stands at the forge of self, hammer in one hand, the white hot metal of their future in the other hand. Every choice, every book read, every friendship forged, every path taken or rejected will strike a blow as it shapes the imagined form of these young people. This age is characterized by unique sensory intensity. Emotions are not mere feelings, they are seismic events. Joy is a kind of salvation to these young people. Heartbreak is a total annihilation. A single conversation can feel like a revelation that reorders the whole universe, and a moment of failure can seem like a verdict on one's entire worth. This is not immaturity, it's a consequence of newness. The heart and mind are untouched instruments, feeling every vibration with acute sensitivity before life teaches them to build anything at all. Yet, for all its fire and fervor, the youthful age is also a time of great illusion. The most seductive of these is the illusion of endless time. To the young, the horizon is a straight line receding infinitely. The word later, you know when they say I'll do it later. Later is a country that is vast enough to hold all deferred dreams. This illusion is both a blessing and a curse. It grants the courage to experiment, to fall, and to rise again because the stakes feel curiously so low. But it can also be the anesthetic of ambition. It lures the young person into the belief that the great work of becoming can always begin tomorrow. They always think, I can do it tomorrow. They always think tomorrow is always there. They always think we can do it later. This youthful age is the age of questions that have not yet been watered down by convention. The young people will ask, why must it be this way? The young people will ask, what if we tried it that way? Young people will ask, is this all there is? These are the restless interrogations of youth. They challenge the fortresses of tradition, not always out of disrespect, but from a burning need to understand the foundations upon which they stand. For the Muslims amongst them, they no longer just accept any illogical, biased, or divisive explanations about Islamic principles from scholars they don't trust. And why would they trust you when you appear to be an ancestor from the past rather than a wise scholar who understands the language of this generation? To speak of the youthful age, therefore, is to speak of the very engine of human becoming. It is the formative epoch where the narratives of a life are written, narratives of courage or caution, narratives of curiosity or complacency, narrative of passion or passivity. It is the brief, brilliant window when the soul is still a question to itself, and the world is an answer yet to be given. It is the one irreplaceable capital we are given at the start of our journey, and the quality of the entire voyage depends on how we choose to spend it. Now, let me give you guys a piece of advice based on the advice of the Prophet ﷺ. عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما قال أخذ رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بمنكبي وقال كن في الدنيا كأنك غريب أو عابر السبيل. الله أكبر. وكان ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما يقول إذا أمسيت فلا تنتظر الصباح وإذا أصبحت فلا تنتظر المساء وخذ من صحتك لمرضك ومن حياتك لموتك. On the authority of Abdullah ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with them, with Abdullah and Umar, who said, the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, Kun fi dunya ka'annaka gharibun. Be in this world as if you are a stranger or a wayfarer. Be in this world as if you are a traveler or a stranger. Allahu Akbar. And then when the Prophet mentioned this, Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, now added his own. And he advised based on what the Prophet said. He said, in the evening, do not expect to live until the morning. And in the morning, do not expect to live until the evening. Take advantage of your health before times of sickness, and take advantage of your life before your death. You see this in Sahih Bukhari. You who have known the great pause in life, now you understand what this hadith is talking about now. That life cannot stop for you. That you are a traveler, you are a wayfarer, you are a stranger here. This is not your permanent home. Stop living in this world as if you are going to be here permanently. You who have known the great pause in life during the pandemic, I'm talking to the lockdown generation now. Many of us will fall into this category. You have felt the world contract and then expand in unfamiliar ways. I want you to listen to this. The pandemic was not an intermission in the story of your youth. It was the chapter in your life. It was the crucible, the searing fire that tests the metal of a substance to reveal its true nature. This was a test for you. This was a trial in your life. If you have read the Quran and you read about some people who went through trials and what have you, well, that pandemic period was a time of trial for you also. And what has been revealed is not fragility, but a latent, incredible strength that you have. Do not squander this revelation. Do not squander the fact that Allah made you to go through this test, and you should come out with the lesson you have learned from it. You have felt the sting of stolen time. You have felt the ache of isolation. Let that feeling be your compass, not your chain. The memory of loss is the sharpest reminder of value. Do not now, in the rush of reclamation, fill your reclaimed hours with the hollow echoes of frivolity and digital distraction. Don't be distracted. Even though you had now known how to use the digital world, you need to avoid the distraction that comes with it. Every blessing comes with its own trial. These are the anesthetics of a soul or willing to feel the weight of his own potential. Don't refuse to face the challenges that even your potential brings with you. You have been granted a clarity that those who never knew such a rupture cannot possess. You know, viscerally, that the structures of the world are malleable, they can be changed, they can be remolded. No time is guaranteed, and no particular form of lifestyle or existence is guaranteed. And the connection that you have is the very currency of a life that is well lived. Take advantage of the connection that you now have, digitally especially. You can talk to your friends from anywhere in the world. You can post something and 1,000 of your friends can see what you posted. Somebody can post something from the other end of the world and you can benefit from it. So what we are saying is, be ready to turn it all into blessing for yourself. And therefore, I urge you, young people, the youth generally, I urge you to leverage the unique triads of your power. You have three main powers, and I want you to leverage on it. Number one, leverage the strength of your youth. Now that you are still strong, take advantage of it. Your body and mind possess a resilience that is the envy of the older people. This is not a license for burnout, but it's a mandate for building. You need to direct this vigor with intention. Let your energy be not scattered like seeds on stone, but focused like sunlight through a lens. Through a lens, setting ablaze the kindling of your ambitions. The world's problems, the ailing climate, the fractures of injustice, the cries of the forgotten, all of these things demand not a weary cynicism, but the untamed energy you possess in abundance. Apply it. Apply this talent that you have, and apply the fact that you are young. Your strength is your leverage to survive. Number two leverage that I want you to take advantage for is the formidable tool of technology that you have. Allahu Akbar. You are the native speakers of a digital tongue that older generations still struggle to learn. But beware, this tool can be a master as easily as a servant. Do not let it make you a passive consumer. Command it to make you an active creator, a connector, and a learner. Use the technology as a tool to forge global alliances, to access the entirety of human knowledge through AI and what have you, to amplify voices of reason and compassion, and to build systems of progress and peace. Your fluency in the digital language is a superpower that you have. Wield it not for trivial self-display by dancing on TikTok and what have you, but for monumental collective good and great achievement. Number three leverage that you have, and I want you to take advantage of, is the power of your spirituality. By this, I mean the cultivation of an inner world that is enduring, that's compassionate, and that is anchored. After the external world fell silent, you were forced to confront the world within. Tend to the inner world. Stop running away from yourself. Look inwards. Don't look for entertainment from without. Look inwards and feel comfortable within your own skin. Nurture a spirit that can find peace amidst chaos. A spirit that can practice empathy in the face of division. A spirit that can understand true progress is not merely technological or economic, but moral and human. True progress is not the amount of technology we have. True progress is the amount of empathy that we have. So you don't go ahead and be amongst those people who have technology, but they use it to destroy people. They use it to create carnage. They use it to create destruction wherever they go to. Don't use your own technology that way. You use it to build world peace, to build communication, to build cooperation, to build progress in the world, to build goodness in the world. There's this hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, which I believe that if the youth of the world will work with it, it guarantees success for all of them. So I want you young people to come closer and let us zoom in into this hadith. Abul Qasim al-Baghawi recorded that Abu Umama said that I heard the Messenger of Allah say, Ukfululi sittan أقفل لكم بالجنة إذا حدث أحدكم فلا يكذب وإذا اؤتمن فلا يخن وإذا وعد فلا يخلف وغضوا أبصاركم وكفوا أيديكم واحفظوا فروجكم. Allahu Akbar. The Prophet ﷺ said, guarantee me 6 things and I will guarantee you paradise. And this paradise is not only paradise of the hereafter, you also get the paradise of this world. Number 1, when any of you speaks, it should not lie. Be honest, be truthful. Number 2, if he is entrusted with something, he should not betray that trust. Number 3, if he makes a promise, he should not break it. And number 4, lower your gaze. Restrain your hands. That's number 5. And protect your private parts. If you can take care of these 6 things that the Prophet mentioned, this world is going to be a better place for you. If we can take care of these 6 things that the Prophet mentioned, we are going to survive. This world is going to be a better place for everyone. Never mind the lies that your parents tell. Never mind the deceptions of governments of the world. If you can make a U-turn, I'm not talking about utopia. I know human beings can never be perfect. I know there will be some bad eggs here and there. But I'm generally saying that if the youth of the world could take care of these 6 things the Prophet mentioned, it will take care of everything about our lives, our morality. It will also govern our use of technology. It will also direct how we relate with one another, with trust, with honesty, with sincerity, with transparency, with openness. Let me rewind and replay. The Prophet said, when any of you speaks, he should not lie. If he is entrusted with something, he should not betray that trust. If he makes a promise, he should not break it. Lower your gaze. Restrain your hands from other people's things. Restrain your hands from destroying other people's lives and property. And protect your private parts from immorality. Let the words of Allah be your inner and outer compass, because it is already calibrated to justice, kindness, and a reverence for life, a respect for life, and a respect for humanity. Without this spiritual ballast, your strength will become brute force, and your technology will become a weapon of manipulation and destruction. Therefore, invest the currency of time wisely, young people. What does it mean not to waste this time, but to invest the currency wisely? It is to invest it in the mind, to read voraciously, to question deeply, and to seek out teachers. Let your brain be a furnace of ideas, not a closet of received opinions. You should invest it in the heart. Love fiercely, love seriously, forgive readily, and build bridges of empathy, not walls of division. Forge relationships and marriages that are deep and true, because they will be the pillars that support you when your own strength wanes. Don't fall in love with anyone, but stand in love with a carefully chosen spouse. There is nothing that wastes time more than a wrong choice of a life partner. Invest this currency of your youth in the hands. Learn a craft. Learn a skill. Create something that is beautiful. Build something that is useful. Let there be a tangible proof of your passage through this world. You are not just an I was there kind of a person. You also came to this world to make great impact in the world. Positive impact manifested through great achievements. And invest your youthful currency in the spirit. Seek a purpose that is larger than your own comfort. Find a cause, find a passion, find a mission that sets your soul on fire and that contributes a verse to the great poem of humanity. Do not be deceived by the illusion of permanence. The sun of your youth is high, but it arcs across the sky with quiet, terrifying speed. Use its brilliant light to see far, to build tall, to warm the world around you. And like they say, make the haze while the sun still shines. because the shadows will lengthen as they must. And when they do, may you look back not at a trail of wasted days, but at a path illuminated by the great burning fire of a youth that is well lived, a fire whose embers will warm you for all the days of your life to come. You are the forerunner of a new age. You hold the raw materials, the strength of your body, the tool of technology, and the wisdom of spirit. Your task is to transmute these leverages and this gift you have through disciplined action into a future that is more irrepressible, more just, and more beautiful than the one you inherited from your parents and from the earlier generations. Young people, do not merely seek to thrive for yourselves. Let your growth be intertwined with the growth of others. Let your learning contribute to the world's knowledge. Let your productivity contribute to the world's progress. And let your peace contribute to the world's harmony. The crucible of the lockdown generation has tempered you. You are now stronger than before. Now go forth and forge. The anvil of this era is yours. Do not let the hammer lie idle. Strike and shape a legacy that will reverberate through time. A legacy that will outlive you. May Allah watch over you and make it easy for you as you take care of your youth before the age comes to catch up with you. Ameen. My name is Abdul Fattah Adeyemi. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Acquire Abdul Fattah Adeyemi's soul-lifting handmade masterpieces and experience the divine beauty of Islamic artistry. Book counseling and therapy sessions to access a safe space to heal and thrive. Join the community. Transform your life. Edit your universe.